of Bogotá is privileged, surrounded by the majestic eastern mountain range, which makes our environment have enviable landscapes. However, these same mountains perfectly describe the meaning of the word contrasts on its banks or even invading its greatness.
Toward the eastern sector of the city, where the green of its mountains prevails, the Rosales neighborhood is embedded, a neighborhood urbanized since the 1940s, which receives the name of one of the haciendas that existed in this privileged geographical point of the city. The mountains that are on its periphery highlight a privileged reality, where the urban architecture and technology leave all their splendor in its buildings. Most of the homes have an extraordinary view of the city that is obstructed by the cloud pollution that on some days is denser, and which was the legal factor for the district authorities to stop its accelerated development.
Right now we're in Rosales, a neighborhood that was created in the edge of the mountain. As you can see, the whole city can be seen from here. Bogotá continues to expand towards the mountains, regardless of the way in which it does so, invading the nature.
Things is solved: park roads, high-class commerce, parks, security, schools, etc. Its occupants had access to these lands by inheritance or paying large sums of money, and their acquisitions provided them with the status of living in one of the select sectors of Bogotá. There is no music here, there is no community coexistence, there is no playing in the streets. You barely know who your neighbor is because you met them in the elevators. Pets go to pet school and are treated with as many comforts as human children. The entire environment is immaculate, and there is no garbage and much less mud.
The residents of this neighborhood have everything they need at the tip of their fingertips. They can go out to lunch in a fancy restaurant, have desserts in a cafe, or even have a shopping afternoon. Another one of the most important characteristics of this neighborhood is the atmosphere of tranquility that is felt. As you can see, there is no music or sounds. You can see people walking normally without the constant worry of something happening.
Apartments in this sector range between 300 to 1,000 square meters, and they include all kinds of amenities, ranging from double kitchens, game rooms, living rooms, terraces, jacuzzi, and etc. Plus, the petite amenities found in the condominiums clubhouses range from exclusive gyms, reading rooms, spa, pools, among others. The average income of an owner of these homes ranges at least between 50 and 60 million Colombian pesos per month, which is way above the minimum salary in the country. Health problems are treated at home through private doctors or in specialized clinics near the area. Therefore, we could affirm that people who live in this sector do not deprive themselves of absolutely anything.
But this is not the reality of all the citizens. This is Nadia, a 34-year-old woman who lives in the Ensueño neighborhood. Every morning she is forced to cross narrow, steep, and slippery roads to get to work. Although the distances are not great, Nadia takes 1.5 hours to get to work because there are no roads that allow vehicular access. Each road is an adventure, surrounded by cliffs, garbage, insecurity, and fatigue. Nadia is forced to carry her belongings in a garbage bag so she can change and be presentable at work. Not to mention that she must first collect her clothes from a communal clothesline, where her neighbors take turns washing everyone's clothes. It is not an easy life, but Nadia, motivated by necessity, is willing to take the risk. The 9.5 kilometers from Rosales neighborhood, where the city in the distance seems to end and the mountains touch the sky, we can find the Ensueño neighborhood, surrounded by the same mountains, but this time we can see a very different reality, a harsh reality. The Ensueño neighborhood is made up of a community whose forced displacement from their birthplace made them take over this territory, creating a neighborhood that was not included in the city planning. The roads are almost non-existent. Public transport only reaches a point, and its inhabitants must daily walk for more or less 22 minutes to reach the nearby consolidated neighborhoods that connect them with the city through scarce public transport. Although conditions are unfavorable, the inhabitants do not lose hope. Oscar, the president of the neighborhood, is willing to do whatever is necessary to guarantee the well-being of his community.
Bueno, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Oscar Lezama Montenegro. Soy natural de Chaparral, Tolima, víctima del conflicto armado.
The land in this sector was occupied little by little for 10 years, and since then, the high poverty status of its inhabitants has prevented the state, specifically the district, from giving them different treatment than being classified as an invasion neighborhood. And therefore, they lack planned supply networks for basic resources such as water and electricity. Around 2016, the legal processes for the eviction of the neighborhood began, and in October 2019, a judge of the Republic denied the crime of land appropriation in favor of the community, which made them decide to continue fighting to acquire its legalization.
Bueno, este barrio se origina a partir o en el año 2014, exactamente más o menos agosto del 2014, por los dueños del territorio, de las fincas, que permitieron que la comunidad entrara a posesionarse porque creo que ellos iban a vender este terreno a Caja de Vivienda Popular, a una entidad del Estado. Permitieron que las familias entraran a posesionarse, pero ya como en el 2016-17 ellos empiezan un proceso, no hubo negociación y empiezan un proceso a querernos desalojar del territorio.
The poverty contrasts with the charisma and joy of its inhabitants that we observe as we walk the path to reach the small community hall built with funds from the Corpus Christi Church and the community. During our walk, we witness all kinds of visual and auditory perceptions. The dance and music takes over our ears. The conversations of small groups of young people in front of their deteriorated houses gives us a glimpse of the hardness of their lives. The visual reality of their homes is moving and shocking. All the homes are at high risk of collapsing, and many of them are located at the edge of a cliff. 68% are made of zinc tiles, 25% of wood, and 7% of blocks. The floor of these homes is mostly made of dirt, which turns into mud if the inclement rain runs inside. A father from the Sueño neighborhood who can work 22 days a month will have an income of 820,000 to meet the needs of his family group of at least 3 people on average. This figure is 1.36% of a salary of a Rosales owner. One of the main problems of this neighborhood is the houses. As you can see, they are made from cheap materials like metal tiles, so the people is vulnerable to cold and diseases. Another one of the problems is the main streets. There are various steps, so vehicles are not accessible, and they can have access to food, water, or clothes. Despite all this discouraging panorama, the inhabitants of this sector received us with infinite kindness, giving us all kinds of attention, from tasting homemade pastries to delicious roast meat. These Colombians share with us the little they have. Their children and young people still have dreams that have no limits. Dreams about professions that give them a better future and take them out of this harsh poverty. In a country like ours, in which the state turns a deaf ear to the imminent fate of communities like this.
We surveyed 50 people of stratum 4, ranging from 25 to 35 years old. We made them 5 questions in order to know if there is a social recognition of this type of informal neighborhoods, their living conditions, the impact they generate on the city, and the capacity of help that they can provide. The results are not encouraging, because although the respondents claim to know the reality of these informal neighborhoods, 38% of the sample won't be in a position to provide some kind of help. 80% of people consider that these citizens deserve to live like this, and 94% think that these inventions deteriorate the city and diminish the security of the capital. These figures confirm that the future of these communities depend on 90% of their own inhabitants and on the capacity they have to socialize their problems to ensure that independent communities can provide especially economic solutions.
Okay, you got it. Well, the illegal settlements are usually generated because the city does not offer enough housing chances or opportunities for different people of different type of economic income society, right? So therefore, it affects a lot because the demographic makes it very very polarized, in which we have rich people who can live in very good places, and we have a lot of people who are living in illegal settlements, making the differences among rich and poor really high. Okay? They're created because usually capital cities such as Bogotá, they usually are really high attractive for people, attractive because of the job opportunities, the amount of possibilities to get up higher incomes. That usually people that come not necessarily come with enough money to actually rent or buy a house, so they go to places where they see that there's no owner inside, and they just simply start building their own houses with what they have in hand. And then later on, if you see that one family is doing it, then what makes that another family doesn't make it as well next door?
We also had the opportunity to interview Carolina, a social worker who has a specialization in family. She is coordinator in the psychosocial area of the Semillas de Amor Foundation and was willing to answer some of our questions on the subject.
Uno de los mayores desafíos, como dice la palabra, es una zona de invasión. Ellos viven en unas condiciones muy vulnerables, ellos no cuentan con servicios públicos. Entonces, digamos, ejemplo, el servicio del baño, son baños sépticos, no, la luz es de contrabando, la luz es pegada pues por cables al aire. Si ellos mismos se rebuscan, ellos mismos buscan cómo conectar y cómo tener ellos mismos como el acceso a los servicios públicos. La idea es eso, pues que se legalice, que pues ya el acueducto o todas las entidades estatales que estén ahí puedan, pues el Estado le pueda dar pues los servicios públicos, que es como uno de los derechos fundamentales que tenemos todos los colombianos, ¿no? O sea, tener una casa, bueno, ya la tenían, la construyeron porque ya las construyen con materiales, sino con materiales reciclajes, en palabras coloquiales se puede llamar como cambuches. No es seguro, no es un entorno seguro en el cual se ve mucho consumo de sustancias psicoactivas, atraen muchos problemas, ¿sí? Muchos conflictos y demás. Y pues como no es una zona legal, obviamente la seguridad no es tan buena. La policía en el caso que llega allá, pues es porque uno llama apoyo, bueno, le hacen seguimiento y demás. Pero como el barrio no es legal, la gente pues digamos que es vulnerable.
Taking into account all the information we have gathered, we were able to identify some of the main requirements to start the legalization process. The president of the communal action, Oscar, and the group of people who are part of it have done an excellent job and have an intervention plan with priority objectives aimed at achieving the legalization of the Ensueño neighborhood. The short-term objectives are the following: installation of the road drainage network on both sides of the road and its 3 sections, removal of loose material from the road composed of mud, debris, to replace it with compacted top dressing, consolidation of a road and pedestrian grid, eliminating unstable and dangerous paths, intervention and transformation of facades made of unstable materials for block facades, and formation of trade learning workshops for the manufacture of crafts and food products. The total investment for these objectives is 150 million Colombian pesos. To carry out these short-term objectives, the priority is obtaining financial resources and forming labor work groups. Currently, the Corpus Christi Church is giving the 5% of the total value that the parishes obtain in their community activities carried out in the period from January to August 2024 to a community of the Ensueño neighborhood. In addition to this, the neighborhood has a total of 9 anonymous benefactors who will donate all the materials for the reconstruction of facades and the pipe for the drainage network. Apart from this, we are part of the logistics of some of the activities planned by the Corpus Christi Church, with the aim of raising more funds. These activities included bingos, entrepreneurship fairs, and bazaars.
Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario, con las palabras que pienso y declaro. Madre, amigo, hermano, y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado, con ellos anduve ciudades y charcos, playas y desiertos,